Good morning. We are very happy to be part of the 5th annual ICAM conference. It is a real honor for us to be able to share with you part of the history of ANPA Costa Rica. This morning, we will talk about how we managed to go from a completely assistential organization to be one of the strongest and biggest NGOs in animal welfare in our country. How breaking paradigms saved thousands of lives. A quick overview of our first 30 years. First decade, 1980 to 1990. We were the first organized group in Costa Rica to acknowledge the topic of animal welfare. We were a very small group of people willing to make the difference, but with not much of an impact. Second decade, 1990 2000. We had a totally assistential approach to dogs and cats population issues. We feel we did what almost everybody wants to achieve at the beginning. A dream come true. We opened a shelter. But then we realized how expensive it is to work on the consequence of a poor dogs and cats population management program, how low the impact is, and how little it contributes to animal welfare. Third decade, 2000, 2010. We took off. We finally understood how important it is to work on the prevention side and how good it feels to break old paradigms. But why? How did we realize we had to do something different? To start, we wanted to achieve more. We wanted to help much more animals. At that time, we knew running a shelter would not make a big difference in Costa Rica. We thought, and if we try to work without any shelters, if we manage to go directly to the root of the problem instead of spending time and money on the consequences, we did the numbers. Running a shelter was and still is, very expensive. For us, sheltering 100 animals had a monthly cost of approximately $20,000, which means an average cost per animal of 200. But the saddest part was not the money we had to invest, which we usually don't even have. The really frustrating part was that we kept almost the same 100 animals all year long because of the low adoption rates. We continuously received animals. The streets were still full. It didn't seem to we had any impact in dog and cat populations, and with our budget, animal welfare was at risk in our own shelter. It took us around 10 years to realize our dream shelter was not going anywhere. And thanks to the international conferences and studying more about dog and cat population management, we not only understood we had to work on the prevention side and leave the assistancism behind, we also could influence other groups in Costa Rica not to open shelters and instead work on spay-neuter programs. Once we understood that, our golden years began and we're still living them. In the year 2000, we did our first spay-neuter campaign in Puerto Viejo de Limón, which is a very, very small touristic village on the beach. Since then, we have walked a long way. In the year 2006, we finally closed the shelter because in the year 2000, it was closed to the public, but we still had many dogs and cats to rehome and, of course, many expensive. But when we finally managed to close it, we started our humane education programs. At this time, we had spay-neuter over 180,000 dogs and cats. The average cost per animal is a fourth part of the sheltering. And besides, you always spay-neuter a new animal. Not as in the shelter, where you invest money in the same animal for months. This is our spay-neuter program. We tend to grow, and before the year 2000, we did around 10,000 spay-neuters per year. 2017, we had a very strong year, but it was because our country had some natural disasters And we organized a lot of animal attention, providing spay neuter services. Then COVID came. For a half a year, we couldn't do anything. But then we slowly get in our numbers. But 2023, we organized our work and started FOCABA, which stands for Capacity Building Program in Animal Welfare. And we'll get to this in a bit. With our humane education program, we have sensibilized directly over 65,000 persons. For the first year, we sadly lost our records, but we can see on the graphic that the year 2021, because of the COVID, we developed a new educational tools, and they did great. Our humane education program is mostly for free, so it still doesn't have the sustainability we seek. As we were working in spay neuter and education, we learned that even though in Costa Rica the local governments were not involved, they are key players and that we have to approach them. But before going into details, let's talk a minute about Costa Rica to better understand the work we have done. Costa Rica is a small country in Central America with 5.2 million inhabitants and 51,000 square meters. It has an administrative division of 83 local governments. And although there is a national legislation for all of them, each one pretty much does what it wants, which makes the work with them a little harder. This is our small country, Costa Rica. Each local government has the following hierarchy: a popularly elected municipal council and the mayor. They're both totally political positions. They change every 4 years, but they can be re-elected. And then there is the administrative structure. Animal welfare should ideally be in the public services, in the environment department, but it also has been in the press and communication department, directly in the mayor's office, or even in road cleaning. Our goal is to ensure that dog and cat population management programs get a non-political space so that these don't disappear every 4 years. Although local governments increasingly have a greater say in the issue, the official entity in charge of animal welfare is the National Animal Health Service, SENASA as we know it in Costa Rica. And it has a big regional division, but in each of its regions, it groups a certain number of local governments covering the entire country. It means the 83 local governments are divided in different regionals for SENASA. So, getting back to our work, in the year 2002, we convinced the largest local government in the country, the municipality of the capital, the municipality of San Jose, and got our first historic milestone: to have achieved that a local government made an economic investment in animal welfare, sponsoring and spay-neuter clinics. We gained experience and then approached other local governments. I know it's not easy to see, but as you may notice, between the year 2000 and 2010, we only managed to work with 4 local governments, but 2 of them are still active. Then there was a great silence, like a gap. And in the 2017 and 2018, there was a strong awakening. And the other great period was after COVID. Some invest for a single time, others have been working for many years now. But all this didn't happen alone and spontaneously. There were many efforts that we made and that added up to generate that interest in animal welfare. We had many individual visits, but in the year 2018, seeing the interest that was being generated in local governments, we made a more focused effort on offering professional and trustworthy information so that their involvement was better focused. I know you can't even read what I'm showing in the presentation, but it is to give you an idea of what we have worked on. It is important to mention that ANPA has based most of its work on the ICAM guidelines, especially in the humane dog population management that was updated in 2019. These meetings, webinars, and conferences, we can group them into some groups. The first ones were the meetings of local governments in favor of animal welfare. In 2018, we organized the first one, and since then we have held it annually except for 2020. It is open to all 83 local governments, and each year we address current issues. We have presented the relationship between the Sustainable Development Goals and animal welfare, the best and most effective tools for feral cat populations, the importance of knowing population dynamics of dogs to understand the needs of each community. We have presented new legislation in the country and how to recognize good allies. The other group of meetings were with SENASA. SENASA has 8 regions and we covered 5 of them. We gave support by giving talks, explaining the need to prioritize topics, understand the difference between care and the preventive approach, and conclude with ICAM Dog Population Management Program, the foundations, principles, and fundamental services. And the third group was the webinars we did with the National Distance University, with which we had a signed agreement since many years. In a period of 2 months, we held 4 virtual sessions to guide local governments on how to implement a public policy on animal welfare. The commitment of governments continues to grow, and in the year 2023, another historical milestone was reached. More than 30 tenders related to dog and cat population management programs were initiated. Unfortunately, a significant number of contracts were not executed due to unprofessional approaches that did not align with local needs. As you can see, the 30 tenders represent 18 local governments. 50% of them, did it for the first time, but unfortunately, 40% were unsuccessful. ANPA participated in almost half of them and won 60% of them. Working for so long with local governments has allowed us to understand much better how to approach them. It also has made us realize the main needs in our country in dog and cat population management programs. And this is why last year we started to develop a capacity building program on animal welfare for local governments based on ICAM guidelines called FOCABA. It is a great opportunity for improvement and respond to the urgent need to create a program that gives decision makers the tools to maximize public resources and achieve the desired impact. Our goal is that every local government in Costa Rica has a dog and cat population management program running. At this point, we are finishing to write the contents, make the graphic design, and we hope to start in the second semester of the year. FOCABA will have 4 modules. The first one, Introduction to Animal Welfare, which will answer questions such as, why should I get involved? What happens if I don't? What do I aim to achieve by doing this? How can I maximize my resources? What is the legal framework that protects me? The second one is called Implementing Successful and High Impact Animal Welfare Programs. They will learn about dogs and cats' dynamic populations, in addition to other methods for managing populations, their pros and cons. The third module will be Experts in Dog and Cat Population Management. They will learn from the international experts, ICAM, how to maximize humane and economic resources to achieve the greatest impact possible. And the last module will be the sustainability of dog and cat population management program. We will talk about the importance to permit more than one person or department in local governments so they will guarantee the sustainability of the programs. And we will give practical tools to help implement everything that has been learned. Does breaking paradigms save thousands of lives? Absolutely. ANPA's efforts are writing the history of animal welfare in Costa Rica. We have done over 185,000 spay neuters, from which 35,000 were with local governments. We have worked 11 contracts in humane education. We have achieved an expenditure of $925,000 in animal welfare, which was totally new for Costa Rica. And at this time, we have reached around 68% of all local governments. We know we are on a good path and we are still living our golden years. I hope you enjoyed this presentation, and if you have any questions, I'm happy to help you.